Oh, yeah. I was living my life in the servitude of misunderstandings of people I love. Giving it all, it was never enough. Because of the fall, I could never get up. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them. I was drowning, now I swim. 'Cause I found the strength within. I don't need your absent friend. 'Cause I got this. 'Cause I got this, yeah. 'Cause I got this. 'Cause I got this, yeah. This is holy ground. Depraved and deprived, I was living your life. Lost in a moment with true sacrifice. Voices are plenty that never seem right. Visions, distractions that alter my sight. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them. I was drowning, now I swim. 'Cause I found the strength within. I don't need your absence, friend. 'Cause I got this, yeah. 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 This is holy ground. This is holy ground. This is holy ground. This is holy ground. I was living my life in
Welcome in, everybody,
servitude.
on this beautiful Tuesday evening. How are you doing? How are you living? How are you loving? How are you leaving? Are you ready for a very interesting conversation, man? I've been having a really good time over the past few weeks. Last week, we had Christian Smith with us. The week before that, we had Bossy. Man, we even talked with H.G. Roberts about religious trauma. So we've had a really good time over the past few weeks. And tonight, we're going to be talking to somebody that I am extremely excited about. Like, tonight's conversation is going to get deep. I want to go ahead and let you know in advance, this is going to be very similar to kind of last week, where we're going in and we're sitting down with somebody who is on their own journey, and we're going to allow them to invite us along the way on the journey. So we're going to learn a lot tonight about our guest. We're going to learn a lot tonight about religion, about religious harm, about not just deconstruction, but also reconstruction. So, of course, as you're coming in, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all of those good things. And then also make sure you introduce yourself in the chat and get ready to get your questions ready. I'm going to go ahead and not belabor the time. I'm bringing our guest up on stage now. Welcome in.
Hey.
Man, how are you doing, sir?
What's going on? I for some reason, I'm looking here and I can't hear you on my screen. I can hear you on YouTube.
Uh-oh. Okay. Let's work with it. We got to
make it work.
Man, that's wild. I hate that that's happening.
All right.
Beautiful. Man, it's wild because you're coming in clear, man. All right. We're gonna figure it out somehow.
I can't hear anything.
Oh my goodness. It's nice to see you out there in the chat. I hope your dad is doing well, Kai. And for any of you watching, if you have any tips, please feel free to share them in the chat. I'll put them on the stage.
Let me hold on real quick. Sorry about this. Let me see if it's on, make sure it's not on my end here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. I just can't hear you. Laptop's turned up. Audio.
What's up, good people? We're just working through a few technical difficulties, seeing if we can find a workaround.
I'm gonna try to get back in real quick.
Absolutely. All right. So while we're waiting on him, I guess I'll give you a little bit of background about our guest tonight. He's a transpersonal life coach, and very interestingly, I know if y'all watched the Christian Smith interview, me and Christian talked about someone by the name of Carlton Pearson. Malachi actually worked very close to Carlton Pearson, which we'll get into that a little later, which I think that's going to be that's just going to be a deep dive. But he's also someone who does work in the space of not just religious deconstructing, but helping people reconstruct. So this is going to be a really good intersectional conversation. I agree, Doctor. Is that Dr. Wilbert? This is going to be a really great talk. I am really looking forward to it. If I was still back in the church days, I'd say the devil is busy. The devil is busy. Oh, Slewfoot. But no, this is just technology. And you know what's funny about it? Back when I was a pastor, when things like this would happen, I'd be freaking out, man, because there was this belief that no, everything has to work out exactly perfect. And if it doesn't, then, God is not pleased or the devil is busy or any of that jazz. And now it's just like, hey, bro, things happen. Technology happens. That's how that thing goes. All right, we got him back to the studio. We're going to see. Are you hearing me?
All right. Yes, I can. I figured out what it was. Oh my God.
Look at that.
So much going on with all this technology.
Absolutely. That's what we were just talking about, man. It's technology. It's how it goes. All right. Well, I think that was just the warm up we needed. Well, just to kick off, man, how was your day been? You and I ain't got to talk yet. How has your day been?
Oh, I'm good, brother. I mean, it's life, it's business, it's family, we doing our thing.
Yeah.
Communities.
Yeah.
It's forever evolving. We just got to keep it moving, keep it, keep growing, keep learning.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I got some questions for you tonight, and just to get a little bit to know more about you, what your journey has looked like, and the work that you're doing now. And so I want to start here, and I like to start with the big question, and that is, what was your experience like in Christianity, and why did you ultimately leave? What was your experience like in religion, and why did you ultimately decide I've got to change the way that I approach life? Can you walk us through that story a little bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because I think certain people we started this way before it was even cool.
Yeah.
Before it was a thing, right? You start asking questions whenever you're younger. I would ask questions, why are we doing this? And why do we say this? And, so I grew up Kojic, Church of God in Christ, and my father, who's still a pastor. And of course it was 100 so ingrained into our culture more than was just actually being a Christian. And, going to church. And so basically it's with my life, it evolved around, of course, culture, but then you ask questions when you're younger. Of course, they see people like us and they be like, you should be in the ministry. And you ask questions. You're like, you should be there. And so I just had my own journey. But yet, though, at the same time, there was some things that I thought, and I still think to this day, that are important for the understanding of who we are as we ask questions. The whole point of having religion comes from asking questions and wonder. Now, getting it confused or mixed up with today's modern day belief systems when it comes to even the Abrahamic faiths, let
Yeah.
alone other religions, it's kind of like, we've only been living kind of in this mindset probably for the last maybe 200 to 500 years, right? Before that, the early churches were way different. And if you go back to, 1611 when King James D had the Bible kind of constructed and put together, it's like,
Yeah.
we have mysticism and we have all these different things. So I was kind of already into that. And this journey, basically, even though I was in that investigative state, I was a musician and there was certain aspects that you just adapted and adopted. But I
Yeah.
ended up going to or Roberts University, um, you know, maybe 20, almost close to 20 years ago, just because of the fact that I had access to media and access to different things. And plus, Oral Roberts was kind of like the Mecca, if you will,
Yeah.
when it comes to Christendom and Pentecostalism. Is like, oh my God, you go here and it's like a really thing. And it was a big thing. I mean, the people that I met, people I worked with, people I was connected
Yeah.
to, it was a journey. Um, but I think that journey of being in the church and then asking questions while in the church, and then you know, just being able to, of course, also learn outside of what you have learned in the church, as far as when you go to school, um, and really getting deep with. For me, I got deep into understanding life and success and what success means and all these different things, and so I just kept going deeper and deeper, and eventually it was like, I'm good. Like, this is not what I want to do. I'm not going to do this, and that journey, it 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 started when I was younger, but, when I say younger, I'm talking about, in, probably leaving high school, you're really inquisitive and, of course, being in the streets, and by the time I went to Oral Roberts, we did what we needed to do, really searching and seeking for truth and seeking
Yeah.
really honestly, the seeking the heart of, as I say, the heart of God. My thing is really is the source of life. And there's something that we already know and it's pulling us. And then of course in 2009, I worked with a guy named William Tisdale, and then that led me to he was like, call my bishop, call my bishop. So I ended up calling Bishop Carlton Pearson,
Yeah.
and we at that moment in 2009 or 8, it was, yeah, 2008. Just came cool, like friends, because we had so much in common. Oral Roberts, Church of God in Christ, you
Yeah.
know, not necessarily being a part of it. So I've been in even though I was still attending a church in 2008, um, it wasn't until 2015 that I completely, totally was like, you know, go some Sundays, not go. But there was just like 2015 was the time that it was just like, I'm good. I no longer need this. I was at a church doing some musician stuff and media
Mm.
stuff, and that was about 2014, 2015, right before Trump come in, because it was
Wow.
really getting heavily political, and that's whenever I start noticing where it was like, wait a minute, there's something really odd and weird about what's going on with the dialogue and what they're talking about to us about, and then and you just start really seeing like, wait, this people are drinking the Kool-Aid, and of course you'd be around Bishop Pearson, you know, that really will shake, kind of rock your world in terms
Yeah.
of like, oh, I love this. Oh yeah, he was doing the show 2011. He started that show, or maybe it was 2012. And I went to visit him in 2011. As we were talking, he was like, yeah, I want to do this expansion of consciousness, or what is it? No, it was something else. It was streaming consciousness, how the stream of consciousness. And he said, I want to work on the stream of consciousness. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I was into technology. He was kind of like needing some help. And so we kind of bounced off of each other, and I think I started the podcast in 2013. He moved back here to Tulsa in 2014. And then we got connected in 2015. I left the church, and then we just played, honestly, and just had conversations and conversations. And he was doing his show, and I was helping a little bit on the show with various things, and with streaming. And so, I mean, that's kind of the gist
Yeah.
of it, of being kind of leaving the church. But honestly, for some of us, it's a natural thing that we're going to evolve regardless. Like we're if you feel it
Yeah.
and you're bold enough to be like, nah, I'm good. And then all of a sudden the truth comes out where you be like, what? Wait, King James was gay? What? You know what I mean?
That's wild.
King James wrote a book called Demonology before he even actually had the Bible? Okay.
This is funny. So, like, and that's, man, I love one of the things that you said, and you're absolutely right. I love this presentation because I think so many times we can kind of pigeonhole what deconstruction looks like, and it becomes this thing of, oh, someone gets really upset about their religion, they go through church hurt, or they experience something really traumatic, or or they find out it's logically inconsistent and they leave. But there are a large number of people where it's very much different. It's just a natural process. I've often told people, for me, I describe myself, they said, when did you start deconstructing? I said, I think I was deconstructing from day one. This is why I moved around so much looking for, because I was deconstructing it the whole time. It just took me a long time to get to that other side of that particular process. But one of the things that you said that really stood out to me, and then there's something else you said right after that I got to come back to as well. But you got to the place where you just said, I no longer need this. Like, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. Can you take us a little deeper there? Like, what was it specifically that you no longer needed? And how did you know? Like, what was that in you that you were like, yeah, I think I'm good?
As you start asking questions of yourself, and you start asking questions of what you've been told, all of a sudden you can actually get a little bit more understanding or confidence
Yeah.
in being able to say no. I remember when it came out in the headlines with Bishop Carlton,
Yeah.
and it was a newspaper article. It was big, and everyone was just talking about him. And I remember I didn't quite understand where it was like, they were like, he was saying that everyone is saved, which my thing is like, that confused me even more.
Yeah.
Everyone's saved? What do you mean everyone's saved? I don't even think that we need to be saved. Like, saved from what? Right?
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
I was going. And me and Bishop have had these conversations because Bishop was in the church and he was a pastor, right? So therefore, with him being a pastor in a church, he was looking for ways for his own self to process. Like, I need to, salvation is part of this systematic structure of God. So I have to have salvation. And then after salvation, we have to have the repentance. And then he's a bridge. And, it's like all these things that have been formulated to create a theology, which most people, and the average person, I'd say 90%, 99% or so of people don't really have any form of or understanding of theology outside of their church and the church organization, what they have been told, right? And so for me, I did reach a point at about 25 years old. I have to remember, at about 25 years old, I had a mentor, a spiritual mentor, and he was a person that went to Oral Roberts' first doctoral class, Dr. Gene Day. And he still was a practicing Christian. I mean, at the time, I'm 25, he's probably 75. And the thing is with him but he was a preterist. So here it is, 25 years old.
Wow.
I'm just now discovering, and whenever I first went to him, because it like when I was like 10 years old. The thing is too, let me tell you, my name is Malachi because my father was getting oil dumped on his head by a by a like a televangelist in 1976. He's getting
Man.
oil dumped on his head. And said, "You're coming into the ministry," right? So
Mhm.
I've had these moments all throughout my whole life, right?
Yeah.
These weird, as the church would say, prophetic, but it's like really intuitive, deep intuitive things. Like when you have intuition and your intuition's good, and some people call it psychic, that stuff just comes with you and it just stays with you.
Yeah.
And the thing is so that has been my whole life. My dad's getting this dumped on his head. He's like, he hears it says his name is Malachi, right? And so if you fast forward, I met this man, Gene Day, probably when I was 10 years old. And this is an old school church. I mean, this is such an old Kojic church that one of the first um, church planters by Bishop Mason was a man named Bishop Charles Ples,
Yeah.
right? So my Church of God in Christ history goes literally back to the founder, right? So I start doing bunch of research on him and why he did hoodoo. Um, anyways, I digress. But Dr. Gene Day was this man that went to Oral Roberts, military, white guy, came to my dad had him come to the church there. My dad was a pastor, assistant pastor at the time, and the pastor came in. "You got this white man that's in my pulpit. You don't do that," from the era and time that he was
Yeah.
in. But literally from the time I was 10 until I'm 25, I end up resigning from my dad's church board, and kind of said, "I'm good. I don't need this." Leaving the Kojic and went to his home church, which was a big confusion for him. Bless his
Yeah.
heart. Where believe this. Well, this is everything for me. But he was still cool. He still loved me.
Yeah.
Um, and so I went to that, and he basically told me, my foundation of understanding the Bible and understanding theology was built on, history. You go grab a Schofield and a concordance and get to work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
It's only in the last 5 years that I've discovered that Schofield studied under John Nelson Darby, right? Which is which is, another conversation about dispensationalism and
Yeah.
eschatology, right? End times, y'all. You
Yeah.
know, Hal Lindsey. I grew up on any pastor or any person that was on TV or on radio. I grew up on that stuff. My father was like a magnet whenever it came to going to a Bible bookstore and trying to study. He just never did
Yeah.
have the true opportunity to go to a seminary, a specific seminary to get it, right? And so, fast forward throughout my life, from that moment, he began to make me very inquisitive and make me wonder, like, well, end times isn't real, in terms of like, well, there's at least four positions of people and beliefs of when people believe that about the end of the world or about Jesus
Yeah.
returning and all these different things. And so it's kind of recent. It's recent history in the totality of it all. So my life has since then, it was like question after question after question, but then go deeper in terms of investigating, in terms of like following the story. So um it's like once I didn't need it anymore, honestly, it just had more to do with understanding knowledge and belief, right?
Yeah.
Y- I have it's like I receive the information, I have an understanding, I see where it comes from, I see the reason why we do it. And granted, I must say, not that you have to attend a lot of university and school,
Yeah.
but I must say for myself, going through bachelor's and master's, and then going through various coaching schools, uh,
Yeah.
International Coaching Federation. and start doing the transformation work from a science base and doing belief work at the and consciousness work at the science level, it almost just it just kept it's like one thing led to another.
Yeah.
If somebody's out there, in today's time compared to especially over the last 10 years, because there was no deconstructing as a word used in that manner 10 years ago.
For
Uh,
sure.
and if I go back to 2011, it was like church hurt is what they would call you, or
Yeah.
you just really did not have you didn't have a mind of your own, and if you did, if you
Yeah.
did, you might be in trouble. But for me, I would say the biggest thing was um, it was lesson on top of lesson. It was um, lesson on top of lesson and experience on top of experience.
Yeah.
Right. I remember in 2004, forever I had stomach aches, literally, 10 until 20, right? 25. And you would do whatever you could to make it better. And Oral Roberts, a fallout in literally 2 floors. That building's interesting, but I was 2 floors below ground where Oral Roberts' TV studio is,
Yeah.
because that's the program that I was studying. And literally I lost 16 units is what it was. I lost a ton of blood
Wow.
and went into cardiac arrest. Went to the hospital, went in the ICU, but essentially it was like it was interesting because it was like, well, if we can't get this, the doctor cauterized it, the ulcer. It was the size of a quarter. He cauterized it and everything, and he was like, well, if we can't get this to stop, then we just need to go ahead and do some exploratory surgery and go in. And I was like, Jesus, I've been here almost a week. I don't want to
Yeah.
be going to surgery. And the whole week, brother, I had this Bible. This Bible's next to it. And I was reading the Bible.
Yeah.
I was just reading it. I know I need to read my Bible or something, right?
Yeah.
And praying and reading and praying and reading. And bro, I remember it to this day. And it's like how you grow up. I had the Bible on my chest, man, a minute. And it was like one day I was like, man, I'm done with that book. Like, man, I'm done with that in this manner right now.
Yeah.
I'm done. And it wasn't that I just said I don't believe it. It wasn't said I just was like, I'm just done with doing that.
Yeah.
And the minute that I was done with it, literally within 10 hours, bleeding stopped.
Wow.
It stopped. It had nothing to do with the book. It had to do with me and my possession and feeling towards it. Was like, wait a minute. A lot of times when you're praying, you really are keeping and pulling things to you versus allowing things to be healed or go away, right? We have a lot of things opposite. And so in a nutshell, man, getting to this point, there's moments in your life. It can take time.
Yeah.
But in today's time, you have tremendous amount of resources. Just even understanding religious trauma and what that is. Having people like myself or having people like you who we're not just willing to speak out, we have the feeling that we're called to just do what we do, right? And it's not necessarily speaking out against as much as it is speaking for ourselves.
Yeah,
For our
absolutely.
own truths. Like
Absolutely.
a lot of people think it'd be like, oh, why is it that you don't get on Muslims, or why you don't get on these people? It's because they didn't come to my door. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. Yes.
If somebody is whatever faith or belief, I have never actually had any major issue with any other belief system, right? That other than Western Christianity. I say specifically because of the fact it's its own. We don't understand how Western Christianity, especially over the last 100 years, has been literally it already had its own tendencies to be this since when you look at Rome and what Rome and King James and what
Yeah.
how they use scripture, and scripture is more or less not scripture but just Bible and all that it's like systems of government ish
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
then. But now if you fast forward to America and how America has progressed, especially over the last 150 years, right? We are in a I wouldn't even just say just capitalistic world, but we're in a world where capital and companies and businesses literally run the world, and
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
and literally the church was folded in there strategically by specific business people that, and it dates back to um the pastor of all pastors, Billy Graham. Like, who
Yeah.
paid for the churches? Who paid for
Right.
him to go into a stadium, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when he said what he would say, and he had some great things to say, but a lot of that was tied to American capitalism in a very strategic way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but we have way more resources now, thank goodness, and the evolution. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's the evolution of humanity, right? Like,
Yeah.
you got AI, intelligence
Yeah.
that has been computerized into learning models that have the ability to relearn you or whatever else.
Yeah.
Why would Christianity all of a sudden, why would it and should it stay medieval? I mean,
Right.
that's half of our problem,
Yeah.
is that we have
Absolutely.
medieval minds. We have this consciousness that is not consciousness, but we have the mind of a typical person, depending on where
Mhm.
you are, but it's like it's dated.
Yeah.
Like,
Living like 500 years of progress hasn't happened.
I'll tell you, it's like you listen to Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he talks about the extinction or extension. Are we going to keep going, or are we going to be extinct? And for the
Oh,
most
yeah. Yeah.
part, I believe we no. If we don't do what we're doing right now, anybody that's listening to me or
Yeah.
us, if we don't do what we're doing right now, if we don't challenge the status quo, but yet though you have these people that will use your religion, from the
Mhm.
CIA doing it in the 60s, that's just released, the
Yeah.
CIA using it in evangelical, um, churches, missions,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah.
released. Do you not think that psyops, deep psyops is not using religion and using Christianity as a tool to, um, keep people in a mindset or mind state so that they
Yeah.
don't question authority or question who you are or question anything? Of course, we need to keep people, and I say we because there's still this oneness, but
Yeah.
humanity, parts of humanity wants to keep you ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yes.
has to keep you ignorant. So we're the evolution of, I'm just part of the evolution. So it's just, my deconstructing is really more or less reconstructing and the continuation of humanity and the species that we call human beings.
Yeah. I love
We
it.
we have to grow.
We have to grow. We have to grow. Extension or extinction. I love that. Like, we have to grow.
It's a natural thing. Listen,
Yeah.
they all said that my father-in-law was a psychologist, behavioral psychologist, been retired for years, and he says that when we were raising our kids, he would say the thing about human development, if you reach a certain age and the kid does not actually evolve,
Yeah.
then we can go back and understand that there may be something that be amiss or something may be wrong.
Yeah.
So in other
Yeah.
words, if you have a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and that 2-year-old starts moving to 3-year-olds, and you haven't got a mama or a daddy or this or that, all of a sudden, now we're gonna ask questions. You're not asking to go to the restroom, right?
Mhm.
Most people, and what we would do is be like, he's being bad or he's doing this, or because we already believe that the baby is evil. Like, we
Yeah.
believe that
Yep.
babies are born evil.
Yeah, yeah. I was taught that. Yeah, like, yeah.
Can you imagine if we told every kid that you are loved and
Come
loved?
on.
You
Yeah.
are loved and you are love. You're
Yes.
joy, you're peace. Like, versus you are evil and evil's in you and you're going to fight and you're going to kill because of the fact that you are born in sin. Like, do you not
Yeah.
understand? Like, that's a
I think
system.
yeah, like I think that was a major part of my deconstructing that kind of I described myself as a realist. Because now when I looked at the world before deconstructing, I could not understand how things were so bad. But now that I've kind of gone through this my own little journey, I sit down, I'm like, no, this makes sense. When you look at what we've exposed ourselves to, when you looked at the narratives that we have steeped ourselves in, when you look at the way we have, especially in the West, the way that we have related with our religion in this death obsession, narcissistic, very much type of way, self-gratifying way, it reaps exactly what we're seeing. It reaps this violence, this oppression that you constantly see being repeated. And which takes me back to the other thing that you mentioned right after you said, I don't think I need this anymore. The next thing you said was you also started noticing some things politically, because for you, this was around the time that Barack Obama was running for president. Very interestingly enough, when I was in high school, this was shortly after Bill Clinton was president. The church that I was a part of, which prior to that, I wouldn't have recognized it as an evangelical church. Prior to that, it was just a charismatic word of faith church. But around that time, they started bringing a bunch of speakers in to speak primarily to some of the political issues of the day. And I remember getting very uncomfortable at that time, not even just as a Black man. Now, part of it, I was like, this dang show seems like there's some racial undertones here. But then I also felt uncomfortable as a Christian because I was listening to their presentation and it was like, this sounds like authoritarianism. This sounds like if I interpret God the way that you're asking me to interpret God, which could be supported by the text, you're talking about a God that wants literally all other religions not to exist, and you're trying to make that happen through government. And this was literal language. And I remember feeling like, oh, something about that doesn't feel right. Like that just, and it took me years to kind of finally shake that thing. But it reminds me of people like Paula White, because I grew up watching Paula White. She was one of Bishop Jake's daughters at one time. She was following Juanita Bynum at one time. She stylized herself in every bit, like almost cosplayed Black preaching, for this major part of her religion, of her ministry. And then now today has become just like almost unapologetically Christian nationalist in the way that she approaches things. So when you're talking about some of these political things that you were seeing, tell me what you were noticing.
Well, the thing is, you move with the money. The thing is like what we will not honestly face ourselves with is the fact that how close money in major ways. And when I say money, the corporatization of religion, like how close that is. This is far beyond like the Catholic Church owning throughout the history of its religion, which is pretty old when it comes to Christianity. But it's like they own a lot of property and they do what they do, what they've been doing. But when we look in America and we look at like the Mormon Church and the fact that they have, hundreds of billions of dollars, and
And they do.
and they're actively using that money to campaign to kids on Snapchat.
Wow.
I mean, they have a major budget that they're spending
Yeah.
on Snapchat, right? In order to, and this is not literally, you can go the gamut and say it's to save the soul, and you can go through all those things, but the thing is if you remove how the money works,
Yeah.
because my thing is not being negative against money, right? But
Yeah.
my thing is like, how does it work, and how does that work for the individual people and the whole system at play, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is after Oral Roberts, and then Carlton with Azusa, and then because Oral Roberts had like literally the commercialization of beliefs. I mean,
Yes.
he was kind of like the godfather
Yeah.
of just being able to using the media to reach the people, and then the whole system is, oh, we got to share the gospel, and we're going to use the scriptures based to do it. And here's the thing. A big chunk of those people really believe what they are saying. They really believe that, man, we really need to get the gospel out there. Like, these people really need to
Yeah.
hear it, right? There's some that would be, nefarious and just being like, like, whatever. I'm about to go have me a drink, and then, they really are people that understand. But for the most part, a lot of people truly believe that this is a mission and God's going to bless them, and they, give them the money. and with her,
Yeah.
Paula, it's like, it's easy. To me, it's easier for her to switch up. One is it's like she really liked the church and what the church represented and what Black people and Black church represented to the church,
Yeah.
right? You're all in these buildings, and you're not really doing music the same way, and you're
Yeah.
into the especially the Azusa movement, before you start really feeling it and bringing this fashion and art of doing church, right?
Mm.
And I'll tell you, as a musician, without
Ooh.
it, it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
If you go throughout the whole entire church system and you remove all the entertainment, right, that
Mhm.
they call worship, right?
Yep.
If you remove all of that, all of a sudden it completely changes everything,
Everything.
right?
That's
It
it.
changes the whole system. And so, you know, I went to a Christian school to earn my master's in business. And the thing is one thing the church really, really adopted was corporate America's function,
Mhm.
and brought it into
Absolutely.
how the church works. And what made it extremely successful is the fact that the church operates off of volunteers, and it also operates off of belief.
Come on now. Yes. Yes.
Therefore, we can use shame and guilt,
Yep.
right? And we
Yep.
can use our own personal feelings and expressions, how we feel, and call it God,
Yep.
and then get a team of people around to cast you out.
Hey. Yeah.
Did
You're
Carlton
talking good.
They'll do anybody that way.
Mhm.
And the whole thing is here's the thing. Sir, there are a lot of people that really believe what they have to say is true, right?
Yeah.
And they could care less about what's going on in China, what's going
Mhm.
on in India, what's going on in Bangladesh, what's going on. They could care less because we have the money. We are the new world, right?
Yeah.
And our way is the way, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Like, regardless, like, we're the
It's
way because of our success.
it's
We
the
can
might make right, it's the way because it works. It might makes right. We made it work, so it is the way. It's and you do run across that in a lot. I saw it in a few of my mentors, that what I'm doing is God approved because it's successful. Even though I can look and see the mechanics and but I see where the success is coming from. It's not coming from anything spiritual or spooky. I see what's being manipulated. I see what's being moved. And I'm not calling it all bad. I like a good concert myself. Make me cry. I'll be there with you all day long. But you can no longer gaslight me now to make me feel like, oh no, like you said. And I mean, you put us in some deep water here, because this happens so often. And this is something that doesn't get talked about. This is something you've had to live through to know, is that the way that they use just personal experiences as definitive moments of God says and God making a decision, and will use that to get other people to bully up on you. It's a very interesting phenomenon, because like I said, no, all you have to say, I notice a controlling spirit on them. Oh no, there's a Jezebel spirit at work over there. You got so much language. Oh, now that person is in their pride. And the moment you can do that, you can just go get anybody else and say, hey, such and such got that spirit on them, stay away, mark them. And that was some of the, like, when I left religion as I saw it, I didn't just leave because it was wrong. I didn't just leave because it was factually incoherent. I left because I started seeing things that I could no longer ignore as harmful. It's like, no, this is just downright harmful, and we're not even safeguarding people against it. Hi.
Yeah, especially whenever it starts. Now, when you start really realizing, here's the thing. Human psychology and its scientific path is probably only 150 years. And
Yeah.
when you really look like at the past 100 years, right, we've had the most inroads on just human development and human psychology. Not saying that we didn't understand or we didn't try things or we didn't,
For
you
sure.
know what I mean? Like, but when we are able to call things out or look at behaviors or look at things and call those things, right? Ooh, we found out that, yeah, we'll use, the Bible says what is this? Spare the rod, spoil the
For the
child, right?
child. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that, and all of a sudden, that's the green light not to spank your kids.
Yeah.
That is the demand. That is
Man.
you could be a perfect little kid and not get in trouble with anything. But since this says this in the book, I need to look for a way to beat you.
That's right. That's right.
I
Yeah.
need to look for a way to get you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then God's going to get me. And that goes back to corporal punishment. That goes
Oh
back.
my goodness.
It goes back to what we use to justify within slavery, and it's in controlling people. So the thing is that I'm leading to, it's kind of like you see these. I got these videos where I collect sometime, and you got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and they're in church and they're looking around and they're crying and they're just bawling their eyes out and they're looking around everybody. And if a person throws their hands up, they'll throw their hands up. And then here it is. A lot of people in those situations wanted to be that this kid is naturally doing that, and they're not being taught or they're not learning nature versus nurture and understanding, like, what happened to this kid in order for this kid to be doing this, and we call it God. But if I was to sit there and I was to interview this kid, and you were to take them to their paces, you'll wonder why this person has these varying issues, because human development is human development. Like pressing a person to emotionally not regulate themselves, right? And just lose themselves. And then you feel like you need to do this in order to seek approval or be approved by other people in the church. There's so much abuse that's going on when in these teen challenge spaces and these youth spaces where we're going to take these kids and we're going to give them God the way we want them to have God.
Yeah.
Right. And and then we're going to call it God.
Yep.
And the interesting thing too, when you look at Christianity versus Buddhism. Both can have their own dogmas, but Western Christianity specifically that I can speak to, I understand 100% that the dogma is literally a lot of it's tied to the control of who you are becoming, right? The 4 to 4,
Yes.
right? 4 to 14 is that golden time where we have to get you and make you understand that what I believe is that you need to make sure you commit your life to God. And if you don't commit your life to God, then I just don't understand. And what's crazy is so many adults I've been around and I live with, and I pastors and people that I know personally, they live not only in the question mark of what they have to say is true, but they have to have what they say is true because otherwise they have lived a lie their
Yeah.
whole entire life.
Yeah.
And now my identity, who I am, if I'm a pastor, if I'm a whatever form of a Christian, like, I mean, Christianity is one of the biggest things when it comes to personal identity and what does that look like? And that becomes a part of a personality. So it's like I
Absolutely.
got my Bible is big. My Bible has my name on it. You know, I'm wearing these specific clothing. And when I go
Yeah.
into public, you can tell I got these clothing. There's ways I talk, ways I sing, ways I speak. I mean, it's like every single thing about me like literally has this identity tied to it that is tied to the church whether you have any truth of what that is or
Yeah.
not. Now I'm sold. You can go to those people and actually tell them, you know, it wasn't until 1947 that anything to do with homosexuality was added to the Bible. Or
Yeah.
you know, I was thinking the other day, it's like people like, oh my God, they seeing people praise dance, and then it's like, well, more of your praise dancing probably would be closer to Bishop Mason and others with hoodoo
Yeah.
and African
Yeah.
spirituality
Yeah.
than it would be necessarily to David Dancing. Because if you was to even try to get a glimpse of the possibilities of being there if that happened, would be sounding like some Islamic chanting, and you
Yeah.
would be calling it the devil.
Yep. Yep.
You know, you would be like, right? They would
Man.
be doing things that would be more closer to things that would be
Absolutely.
completely, totally different than what we have created. Like
Yeah.
pretty much all of Western Christianity, in its beauty and in its ugliness, right,
Mhm.
is a thing that we have created, and we
Yeah.
call it God. Period. We call it God, and essentially another thing I'd say, hopefully to help people understand, is that God is an in God is a word that is used for individuals um that we would call out a supreme being or supreme knowing or supreme understanding, and you can direct that any kind of direction you want to, right?
Yeah.
And essentially the Bible has been the one that we have literally beat human beings up with, especially in the country, for so long
Mhm.
that we kind of have a collective agreement called collective consciousness. We have this collective agreement that, okay, this is what we would call God, but God is
Yeah.
still an individual. God is individualized to every single human being,
Mhm. Yeah.
period. Like
Yeah.
every single human being has to have an agreement with another human being to say, okay, let me check it off. That's why you have a statement of faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he do this? Is it the Trinity? Is it this? Is it that? Okay, now I know that we are in agreement, and I know that you are talking about the same thing I'm talking about, and
Mhm.
now we're calling our God the same. But
Wow.
essentially, I have to have something. This is now we're leading more into consciousness and understanding what consciousness is, which is a whole entire um not even understanding, because
Yeah. Yeah.
to get the understanding of consciousness, we would have to have some level of consciousness. And so, so the thing is when everything leads back to some form of to be aware and then deep aware, right?
Yeah.
And then deep aware. So we're now going into conscious, subconscious, superconscious, right?
Yeah.
And 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 I think what has led us as humanity or humans, what has led us up to this is those questions. And
Yeah.
then we use the religion and use all those things as systematic structures because the way the human being works and human life works is through systems.
Absolutely.
You can't get away from systems. There's one person that you might be really interested in, one of my latest books or persons, and that's Andrew Newberg.
Yeah.
Andrew Newberg is kind of somewhat one of the fathers of neurotheology,
Yeah.
and so he talks about sex, God, and the brain is one of his books. But
All right. Now.
so he's using neurology and theology and understanding like humanity will never not have quote unquote God.
Yeah.
Even as an atheist, one person can say, I don't believe in God, but if you're living amongst 8 billion people and there's people there that says, there's billions of people that says, I do have a God.
Yeah.
It's hard to be able to be in the world and say, I believe this and billions of people don't believe it. So therefore what I believe has to be true. Right.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's like, I will, even if a person is atheist, for instance, it's okay to accept that person does believe it. And I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And I always fall back on the fact that, people ask me if I do believe, and it's like, why do I don't believe what I know.
Yeah.
Be true for me in my lived experience. You know what I mean? In my lived experience. And I don't have to call God because I know that is just a word that we have formulated or come up with to talk about.
It's a shortcut, and it's I think you've done a good job of demonstrating it doesn't tell us a lot. Because from one person to the next, do you believe in God? Yes, but you don't know which one. You don't know if my God is a loving God or a hateful God. You don't know if I'm the Kojic God, the Church of God by Faith God, the Church of our Lord Jesus Christ God. You don't know if I'm the Seventh-day Adventist God. Yeah,
so therefore it's like a lot of people try to say it's the same, but the thing is most people have a character.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot get away from the fact because of the fact that it gets uncomfortable to get away from the fact that when you think about a supreme authority or supreme understanding or a thing beyond my understanding. So if it's beyond my understanding, I'm constantly trying to bring it down to an understanding. Essentially, it's me, right?
Yeah.
It's just you, right? Taking all the influences of all the things around you. So the biggest thing that we understand in consciousness is that it doesn't live in the brain, and we're like Wi-Fi signals, and we're getting into quantum mechanics and quantum physics, right? All of a sudden we're getting a deeper understanding, even though it can coincide with spiritual or religion. Religion is more or less spirituality that is being bottled, right? Here's how to do it, right? Where all of us are, we're all spirit. But essentially, when it comes to really, to me, I think on the deconstructing journey, as I say all this, on the deconstructing journey is if you want to get there really much faster, like whenever I have my Bible and I'm sitting there praying, God, yeah, help me, Jesus, help me. Okay. Yeah. And you do that for 3 or 4, 5 days. And it's like, yeah, you're still bleeding. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm done. And then it's like, oh, okay. because all of a sudden, still, regardless of what my beliefs, regardless of what I'm believing that's going to work in this, the thing is the body is the body and the brain
Yeah.
is the brain. So I have to be able to be settled and be able to go into stillness, and that stillness is going to actually provide me. Worry is worry, regardless
That's
if you
right.
worry. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
getting
Well,
getting
and there was a study done that kind of demonstrates a little bit of that, where we found out that praying for something didn't necessarily improve your odds of something happening, but we did find out that the people who were praying to get healing if they had a disease, they tend to get worse if they're praying for healing while having the disease. And I think that kind of speaks to something you're describing, because at that moment you're putting a lot of stress on your body. You're putting a lot of stress on your consciousness, on your mental, to try to conjure yourself up to deal with that dissonance that I'm praying for this to happen and it's not really happening, which doesn't require non-belief, right? You can still believe in God. You can still believe in a God who is loving without necessarily believing that this God heals all the time or in any specific way. But it's that discomfort of having to sit with that dishonesty with yourself, because you're not even allowed to be honest with yourself about, I don't think this is working. It can't be this isn't working. It has to be the answer is yes, no, or maybe. And that just puts a lot of profound stress on a person who's already dealing with a type of sickness. So I could see, as soon as you say, you know what, I'm done with that, I could only imagine the chemical rush that your body got at that moment, that just says, all right, y'all, we're good. We can actually finally rest now. Let's get back into shape. Like that, to me, that's absolutely fascinating.
A lot of, going back to the deconstructing, a lot of people, it's the same thing. I started this community, Life, you're a part of it, Life
Yeah.
After Church. And the whole goal is that there's another one I'm a part of, and it's called Deconstructing Christianity.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I get that, and that's a place where people are, and that's where we are. But ultimately, I think the important things, because as people do go through questioning and asking there's questions and investigating their own heart and mind and everything else, um, looking at their upbringing when it comes to Christianity,
Yeah.
it's for me, it's really more about who are you becoming, and
Yeah.
you're becoming and that's what's important. Is like, this is actually beyond now. Now I'm getting into more, as we would talk about the principles, spirituality principles, metaphysics, and as we go down that path, is like, who are you becoming? Who have you always been becoming as you're going through this journey? Because if
Yeah.
you reach the point where you begin to actually question the belief that has brought you to this point, you've already it's like you've deconstructed, and now you're going back to see the damage. Yeah, it's like, oh wait, this doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. I'm deconstructing. No, you are just going back to see where inside of who you are you want to actually question. You want to actually shift. Like, okay,
Yeah.
oh, I get that. I got that. So one of the things, if you want to get there quicker, literally get there faster, it's the same thing principle we were talking about with prayer. Deconstructing is the term and the keys and the words that we use, that we'll talk about different things, but understanding you're becoming, and you are already great. You are
Yeah.
already loved. You are already
Yeah.
enough, right?
Yeah.
And the minute that you like, I don't need this anymore, or I don't have
Mhm.
to do that anymore, or I might like certain elements of this or that, it's
Yeah.
just judgment, right? That you
Mhm.
can have towards yourself. Really, it's all about that deconstructing process, is all about self-love,
Yeah.
versus that
Okay.
guilt and shame that you have felt. So you're really reconstructing. You're really not necessarily tearing something completely away, because here's the thing. You're human beings, and you really can't tear it all away. You can try, and what people usually do when they do that is they go from leaving Christianity and they go to become another belief or another faith, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they'll do a complete,
I've seen it. Absolutely.
360. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here and now instead of being mad at God, I'm gonna go into Wiccan. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to another form, African spirituality, or this or that.
Yep.
Not even. And the thing is, it is not demonizing, or it's not calling any other spirituality bad. It's just you can bring the same energy that you had when you were in the church and
That's
doing
right.
that. You're gonna
That's
bring the
right.
same energy when you go into spirituality, right? And now here it is. You are you living in truth? Are you living in love? Or do you love yourself, right?
Do you love yourself?
And what does that look like to love yourself? The guilt, shame, recently, as people, what was it? Christian had reviewed Kev on Stage talk about masturbation, and it was just kind of like, and the thing is like, that's a conversation of humanity that we want to actually shun, or it's like not look at it as a natural thing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what do? Now we going back into these emotions and feelings that actually can make matters worse. It seems like that way, whenever you have somebody that is done a certain thing, right? Especially if they say, oh, you can't look at, I remember talking about looking at porn and all these different organizations that were out there, and like, you gotta love God, and you gotta do this for your God, and you gotta do that. And it was just kind of like, man, y'all making the matters worse for a lot of these people.
Absolutely.
You making it better, making the matters worse. But really, to me, the deconstruction journey is really reconstructing or becoming who you already are, right? Finding that love, finding that connection. That it said, even if you want to do the scripture thing, it's like you breathe breath into man. And if my only thing that it's like my thoughts, right? My thoughts is, and my words is what makes God in it. I'm bringing that into existence through me saying that or not saying that. So therefore, it's like, as we begin to ask the questions, and as we begin to leave, or as we begin to rediscover who we really are, it's like you're really going to be able to connect to your higher self. And as I use higher self, I'm really referring to the God self. And when I refer to God self, is like, is if all of who you are is just you inside your body.
Man.
Then why do we have this? Why do we even need to talk spirit or spirit? Right? And so the thing is like, I think what I would tell people more than anything, if you're listening to this, whether if you're in objection of it, that's totally fine. Can you sit with that objection? Can you sit with it and be like, I disagree, right? Or do you have to demonize, and do you have to actually be like, the devil's using them and this and that? And to me, you have to do all that. You need to do all that because it helps you live with your own self. Because if that's not the case, I'm one person. There's 8+ billion people on this planet, and literally 2/3 or more of the people that are on this planet don't agree with you. Or even more, there's more people in your own religion of Christianity that don't agree with you.
That's right. Yes.
About the same stuff. So,
man.
So you're almost like living in the, and this is really strong within my understanding and connection to Christianity. It's like they live in the fight so deep that they look for the fight. They look for enemy. They
Mhm.
look, you have to have it. It's like you go and you be in those spaces and they're steady pumping material out on these social media platforms,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, Yet your biggest enemy that you would have is not people that don't care. It's going to be other people from the churches, um, either saying you're not doing what God wants, or and a lot, or what God says, and a lot of that is 100%.
Yeah.
You know, from this Apostle Catherine to Philip Anthony Mitchell, all that is directly tied to history, and this is what
Yeah.
we did. This is what we done in history. Is we have to feel pain. We have to feel somebody give it when we get the truth. We're getting some kind of feeling of guilt or feeling of shame, and we get comfortable with that. If I don't have this guilt or shame
Mhm.
or anything, then you just want to go out and sin and just not tell. You don't have to have the the Bible or Christianity in order to have some level of understanding that um um hanging a person in a tree
Yeah.
is probably not the right thing to do. Otherwise,
Come on.
why would those people have used the same book to do the same thing?
Yeah. Come on. Come on. You know, one of the things that you said that I really love, and I think is something that we could all be mindful of. It's one of the things that I definitely try to sit with because it can be uncomfortable. But the real work of this reconstructive journey is giving people permission to author their own stories, to become who they are without having to conform to anybody else's ideology. Which is why, like, I try my best not to debate people's lived experience. I try my best not to force people to fit inside my story, because I think we're as far as progress as a species is going to come from is us learning how to sit with sometimes what I like to call the time paradox. And that's this idea we always want people to be where we are now, but what if somebody else is where you were 5 years ago? You know what I'm saying? It's like we give ourselves the permission to have grown, to have evolved, and to have come to where we are. And we want other people to just be there automatically just because we want them to. And to me, whether you're a believer, a non-believer, atheist, or agnostic, the moment you get there, you're reperpetrating that same type of harm. That is, to me, that's that same type of colonialism, that colonizing mindset, that you see somebody else who is somewhere different than you on your journey and you feel the need to force them to be where they are, so where you are. So kudos to you for recognizing that no, the goal is not necessarily to get anybody to a specific outcome or a specific label or a specific destination. The goal is to let people sit in their responsibility and their right to become themselves, to define themselves, to discover themselves at the pace that they need to do it in. And man, I love that. I think we need more of it.
We have I mean, honestly, it's like otherwise we'll be repeating the same thing over and over again. And it's
Yeah.
hard because duality, uh, black, white, right, wrong, all the forms of duality that we have, um, it's also changing, right? And then going back to it's if you wanted to take even the story of, as they would say, Yeshua or Joshua, um, looking at the other, it's interesting to look at the other or true names or true forms of this, and I don't mean this to offend people,
Yeah.
but the character they say Jesus, right? Because there's a character Jesus, and then there's an essence or a consciousness um, of that being, right? And I know the pendulum swung from it being what it was, right? You have these old wisdom based mystical books that the Bible was built off of.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard for you to get there if you're afraid or scared or can't, within your own psyche, right? To explore the world as a being. and as you're in your humanness,
Yeah.
be uncomfortable. Um, so I get it. It could be I've done different things in my life that has helped me open up um, to this understanding. It's kind of like people have near deaths or psychedelics and all these other things. Is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Um, but and experiences, lived experiences that you can be able to be okay with. It's kind of like being okay with death and transitioning. Carlton Pearson will forever go down in my book as a person that was able to transition and go into that space uh unequivocally, um like something you'll never see.
Yeah.
People have done it, but literally like, all right, boom, my body's done, I'm gonna head to this place,
Mhm.
relax, you know, and see my people and connect to everybody and leave messages, right?
Yeah.
Um, and in that essence, right, there's a connection to, for me, there's a connection to who we are and who we even desire to be, right? And so your deconstructing process individually outside of how a person will move, because I would tell people like, I'm good. I don't need to shout and dance, and I don't need to have the church. I don't, there's aspects of the church that I'm cool with. I just went to a
Yeah.
recent funeral, and there was things that was so beautiful to connect to the people that I went to church with when I was younger, and it was almost like an art form just to watch these people sing congregational songs and
Oh,
things. It
yes.
was like interesting. Like I'm at a stage where it's like, wow, it's amazing to see people where they are, not not trying to put myself above or below them, but I still feel a progression of humanity when we don't do the same things that we've been doing for the sake of doing them, if you
Yeah.
get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Um, um, to maintain order. I see it as in like when we do it, it still has I still feel the deep rooted connection to what helped, especially the Black people that had come from Africa in
Yeah.
order to actually feel something that they were
Mhm.
approved to have, approved to do in their own sacred space.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't go back and judge. I could, but it'd be silly for me to go back and judge slaves and being like, man, look at this, man. I can't believe they, you know what I mean? It's like that's not my conscious. That's not my
Yeah.
consciousness. And so I'm able to now sit back within the higher self, if you will, and look from a 30,000-foot level and being like, wow, I'm thankful and I'm grateful that I don't have to feel like I felt. Because deep down, there's still a feeling that is like you feel like God's gonna ping you in your head, or you feel like you can't, straight is the path, narrow is the way, right? You really have this strong feeling that something is going to happen to you if you don't. And what's really crazy is by you having the energy inside of whatever it is, if you feel like God is going to get you and something's going to happen to you, and these people put that on you,
Mhm.
it literally you can drive yourself into that energy. um,
Yeah.
and then you sit back and you sit back and you call it God. It's amazing what people do with that word, and it's amazing what people do with that. All these stories
Yeah.
that was put together. I heard recently that they were talking about. Someone was talking about uh, people dying and how people would die. I don't know if it was human against human,
Yeah.
and these people. we're justifying God, quote, God has the right, just like man has the right to kill animals. That's what it was. Man has the
Oh,
right to kill animals to eat, right?
okay.
God has the right to kill his creations.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, especially in this modern time, I can't tell you if I've ever known of any time that outside of the stories of the Bible and the way they're told, as
Mhm.
far as like how they told, like humans kill humans kill humans, right? And
Yes.
these kill humans, like you know, but it was really interesting where these people were saying, well, God has the right to do whatever to his people, right? And I'm like, uh, but the person that has God's control is the people that are in authority. So no different than if we're in America and we go over to another country and it's a justified um, assassination of a group of people,
Yeah.
then we just did that on God's authority,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We did
Yeah.
it on his authority. So it's little things like that, hopefully, that also can help. And I know there's little things like that, big things, but it's things like that that can help people with like really asking the question, like, oh, wait, these people get to say who God is and they get to control that narrative, regardless of how you
Mhm.
want how you want to juxtaposition it being like, okay, did the Bible say that? Did they do that? Did the Bible say that? I mean, like the I- to me I- it's amazing how powerful the Bible is without any true power.
Yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? There's no true power. That's individual human beings reading it and then
Yeah.
interpreting it, and then that's where the quote power comes from,
Yeah.
right? Other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, I've never seen it do anything like Harry Potter, shoot out anything, right? And so it,
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that I would say, man, with belief and with where a person is, I've had a lot of conversation with people that are uh, questioning certain aspects, and so the deconstructing journey has started, or the deconstructing journey is in process, and a lot of it just comes down to no different than your ability to have certain levels of success in life and having the right information,
Yeah.
right? Having the
Mm.
right
Yeah.
understanding of investments, having the
Mhm.
right understanding of how economy and how money works,
Yeah.
how all these different things work, right? Because once you have an understanding of how certain things work, then you can make adjustments. And so understanding how religion works, understanding how these things have worked throughout the years, the whole what is the end goal, right? The end goal is safety, and the end goal is
Mhm.
love. The end goal is some level of freedom. The end goal is maybe actually feeling like that God that they're talking about actually
Man.
becomes actually real. So it's like my deconstructing journey, as they say, is like leaving the church to find God,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And another thing is that would be like leaving the church to possibly find yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, who are you? What are your desires? And if you can give yourself that much grace,
Yeah.
Bishop Carlton used to say, do you really think you can out sin God's grace?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in the minute that it's like the minute that you stop, to me, it's like the minute that you stop worried about the corporatization of sin, not missing the mark, but but the the list of things that have been created
Yeah.
that you're not supposed to do against the scripture or and whoever the police are, because you have to have police, who's ever policing it, right? The
Yeah.
minute that you can not have those things like this, right? It's almost like, you know, try to live it's like try to live wholly, right?
Yeah.
WHOL, right?
Yeah.
That's holistically, right?
Yeah.
In still going back to love, right? And returning to love, and which can be a whole entire challenge as we get through our own traumas and be willing and open to face some of the bigger challenges. And that's one thing I will say, man, more than anything. Um, man, it may not be easy. And you might, as much as I wanted to, like, not have pain or not have the experience of life coming at you. Yeah, you can have an experience where life is can be tough, and relationships that you don't get to have, and jobs that you may not want to take, and um you can there could be some lonely versus dark. There could be some lonely moments as you ask yourself and you go through this. And one thing I will always suggest a person do is, it may be difficult, but as you listen to people like us, it's okay for you to find someone, um, a therapist per se, to
Yeah.
actually have a conversation with when it comes to whether you were harmed or not. Because the thing is, the harm and the feelings and the things that I got in the church, um, they're justifiable. Uh, but I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah.
Um, and I know some people that have experienced things that drastically, drastically affected their ability to live. And one of the things that happens to that is also, when you look at religious trauma, is like your ability to make decisions,
Yep.
your ability to um, be firm with what you believe in terms of not even just God belief, but what you believe about yourself, and standing up for certain aspects of yourself, and just understanding that, you know, losing people, losing your family. And when I say losing your family, is like them not understanding that you are choosing um, a different path. Um, but yet, though, man, as you're doing it, try to find your peace, right? And don't think that just how you deconstruct and what and how you reconstruct, that you need to try to be us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not for the faint of heart. Um, and I believe, like, people that are public and content creators behind this, like, a lot of us are built for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we're built for it, equipped and ready. I don't really get a whole lot of major flack. Of course, I don't go out posting certain videos, which is cool
Yeah.
when people do it, right? When Christian does it, like, because Christian's good at it.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
He's good at it, right?
Yeah.
And he has he's got something different that he's working on and he's building in
Yeah.
terms of, like, his particular sacred space for the people that are there. Um,
Yeah.
and but I think still, a person, man, it's okay to really love yourself and set goals and, build upon
Come on.
something. And when I say build upon, I recently had Project Rook, who was a wonderful, amazing person that has been through some of these things, but who she is today, um, holy cow. her ability to give you the right information and knowledge and understanding and all those goals and all those things, man, you got to understand, man, as you deconstruct, all of a sudden that business or that idea or that career or that job or that
Mhm.
relationship, there's a lot of things that can unfold.
Yes,
It's like, oh my,
absolutely.
I'm living and I'm living and I'm becoming more than I could ever imagine.
Yeah,
Woo.
my goodness. Malachi, this has been an absolutely beautiful conversation. I cannot thank you enough for just sharing your time with us tonight and giving us a little bit of insight into the world of you. This has been, oh my goodness, like I'm going to be sitting on this for a while. There's so many things that you called out tonight that I think are really relevant, and I hope that the audience that have been watching tonight that they're learning something, especially for those of you that were never Christian. I hope that you're learning something about Christianity that you never knew before. For those of you that used to be Christian and now you feel alone, I hope you're realizing that you're not alone. For those of you that are on the fringes of the faith, I hope you also realize that there's room for you too. Brother, again, I'm going to thank you for being here one more time. We'll go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we let you go?
I would say keep the faith, right? And understand that all of us want to achieve one big thing, and that is the feeling of the successes that we can have in our life, right? And being whole and not needing to serve or worship anything that is going to make us feel so bad about ourselves that we don't know how to love ourselves, and we live in a
Yeah.
guilt and shame. And peace is actually possible. And I would say more than anything, be patient with yourself and have a practice of going into some level of stillness. Um, this is not just a spiritual thing to do, but this is also science backed that if you can have a practice of going into stillness, some use, of course, meditation. And I'm not talking about a meditative practice, going to mow the lawn or doing this. I'm talking literally sitting with yourself, right? Sitting with yourself and being able to sit in stillness. And as those thoughts come up, right? That's fine. Let those thoughts come up and then have a way to resonate those thoughts. A lot of times we'll say a keyword, love or peace or whatever that keyword is just have that come back and will, it's a practice and it will begin to help you process not only your deconstructing journey, reconstructing journey, but also for allowing you to become all of who you are and beyond. You can do things and you can achieve things beyond your wildest imagination. Peace.
That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us this evening. I'm gonna go ahead and release you backstage. I just have to say I enjoyed this so much tonight, and for my audience, I hope you're seeing something from these conversations, and that is when people leave religion and God, they're not all leaving the same things, and it cost everybody something differently. And one of the things that was highlighted tonight was this idea that for some people, God is not just what I believe about the universe. God is what I believe about what I can do and how I can do it. For some people, God is how they define success. For some people, God is how they obtain success. For many people, the idea of being led or governed by God's will is the only way to attain any type of success. And so when they lose God, they lose a lot more than just a belief system. They lose many times even more self-capacity. And this is one of the reasons that building community is so important, because people need not just soft spaces to land, but they also need safe places to live, where they can learn what living for them really is on their terms and start getting new language to define success for themselves. Again, thank you all for being here this evening for this conversation. Obviously, tomorrow's Wednesday, so I'm going to be doing a live at noon. I'll see you there. And then Thursday night, I got another guest coming on. How did I get busy this week? But Thursday night, I have another guest coming on. The Jewish Skeptic is his name. So be ready. Be ready for another great conversation. And we'll see how long these go. All right, so I'm gonna give you all some music and I'm gonna get out of here. If you're looking for a community where we're building better, connecting better, and living better, keeping people, staying forward thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming, check us out at Bridge City. All of the links and stuff should be in the description. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Malachi and learning more about his work, I do have his link in the description as well. Please go follow and find out. All right, thank you all for being here. Until next time, keep.
Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. You were singing on my jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Yeah, we are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. You say jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. You say jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno, habanero,